I have been traveling around the United States addressing the issues of concern which I left Europe with. I've been in some 34 states in the United States. And during that process, I've had a number of suggestions that I enter the political scene in America, either as a national candidate or as a candidate for senator from my home state of Pennsylvania. Now, I'm in the process now of making a final decision as to whether or not that's a constructive thing for me to do. I have been increasingly encouraged by the level of support I have received in my travels around the United States. I make it a habit of visiting foreign countries and indulging in criticism of the American leadership in a situation that is highly dynamic and highly dangerous. I think Americans everywhere, and indeed those who share our values everywhere, are best served by a demeanor of support and unity for the actions now being taken by the American leadership. And in this context, I think it's awfully important for those of us who do share common values to recognize that the lawlessness which is taking place in Iran today is not a matter of exclusive concern to the United States of America. And if
we did read then, that there were some officials, American, who did say we are amidst a Third World War and that we are going to lose this Third World War. What is your feeling about that?
It is my view that the West at large tends to overestimate both the capabilities and, on occasion, perhaps the seriousness of what have been a series of failures on the part of the West. Anyone who analyzes the situation within the Soviet sphere of influence today recognizes that Soviet leadership is faced with a series of failures and contradictions within their own sphere of influence. We also should clearly recognize that the Western world at large, those of us who share common values, stretching from Japan and the Pacific, Australia, Korea, through the North American continent to our nations here in Western Europe, still constitute vastly superior political, economic, security, and moral assets with which, if we have the wisdom and good sense to integrate in a more effective way, are more than a match. Communism in the Soviet model has been a profound historic failure, although not a contemporary failure, and therefore the dangers in the period ahead will increase rather than decrease.
Prochaine question.
Shorter and middle-range rocketry, frogs, scuds, scaleboards, and ongoing systems to replace them. Theater air threat, while the West sits helpless and does nothing about its own deficiency. And any suggestions to that effect proceeds with its theater modernization, or indeed that these two areas of weaponry are linked.
Can I go on? You spoke about the growing soft power.
Vitally important that we recognize the importance of radical Arab regimes in the Middle East. One would hope that whatever actions were taken by the West, including the United States, would be acutely conscious of the need to instill greater moderation and greater strategic vision on the part of radical Arab leadership. Heavy United States government that communication has not been the problem. The PLO understands clearly what the conditions are for